Certainty is knowing who you are underneath everything you do. And so my question is, when was the last time you felt certain? So we can show up confident. And I would even say we can feel confident. But what I also know is that we are starving for something different. What we're starving for is certainty. What we want is to understand that there are ways of coming home to certainty. There are ways of reminding your nervous system what wholeness feels like, so that next time someone, something, even yourself, tries to make you question it, you have a physical place to return to, which is your body. Sabrosura, Hola, hola. Welcome back to Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast that celebrates the power of our stories, the medicine in our voices, and the magic of reclaiming who we are. El día de hoy, I want to start with a question, and I invite you to actually sit with it, because we tend to answer things fast. Pero esta vez, I'm not asking for a performance, because it's literally you and me. I'm in your ears. You are whatever you are. And so my question is, when was the last time you felt certain? Otra vez, when was the last time you felt certain? Not confident, not prepared, not ready. Certain. Like settled, grounded in your body, knowing who you are without needing anyone to confirm it. And that's a question that I have been asking my clients, and I've asked it before. Clients that listen to this, they're like probably rolling their eyes, because something that I notice is that there's almost always a pause that comes with it. Because when I'm asking you the question and we're sitting across from each other through a screen, but across from each other, then you can't really make that up. And when I ask you truly, when was the last time you felt certain, typically comes with a pause or with a sigh. And it's real, because that pause is where the answer lives. The pause is what I call the certainty gap. What I've come to believe after my 10 years of coaching first-gen Latinas is that we don't lack confidence. Latinas don't lack confidence. We are incredibly skilled at building confidence. We've been proving ourselves our whole lives. We know how to do that. We know how to be confident because we fake it all the time. The whole fake it till you make it type thing. So we can show up confident. And I would even say we can feel confident. But what I also know is that we are starving for something different. What we're starving for is certainty. The certainty of who we are, the whole, the both and, the too much and not enough, the completely uncopyable version of us. That is not a problem to manage. That is actually our truth, our power, and our medicine. So today, I am sharing my second solo episode in March to close out winter. So, can't believe it. So what we're going to talk about today is the end of winter, the beginning of spring, which we already started talking about last episode. And we're going to talk about what certainty actually is, why Calladita Culture stole it from us first, before it took our voice, before it taught us to shrink, and how to come back to it in your body. Before we go into what do we need to do and the visibility that is what we're going to be working on in spring. Porque lo primero que la primavera te pide is to bloom. And so we're going to do 3 quick somatic practices. Maybe we might tap about it, but likely the practices that I prepped are relatively simple, so you can do them at any moment. And they're all body-based, of course, because I want to give you, besides the lecture, I guess, I want to give you also actionable tools you can take with you and apply. Because what we want is to understand that there are ways of coming home to certainty. They're ways of reminding your nervous system what wholeness feels like, so that next time someone, something, even yourself, tries to make you question it, you have a physical place to return to, which is your body. So if you've ever felt like you were too much of one thing and not enough of another, maybe too Latina for one room, too corporate for another, maybe too soft, too intense, too something, este episodio es para ti. Arre pues. So I'll repeat the question that I asked at the beginning. When was the last time you felt certain? And remember, there's a difference between confidence and certainty. You know, this is not about how prepared were you? How much research did you do? This is not about how ready were you to arrive there, but certain, like settled in your body and the truth of who you are without needing anyone to confirm it. Most women and our comunidad won't be able to answer this quickly. And the pause is the certainty gap. So let's name the difference so you know. Confidence is the belief that you can do something. This is usually built through experience, through evidence, and repetition. It can be performed like the usual quote, fake it till you make it quote. We can fake confidence, and confidence may come and confidence may go. But certainty is knowing who you are underneath everything you do. Everything you do are the keywords, because certainty comes underneath your wholeness. Certainty is not above what you've built. It's underneath it. It's the foundation. And certainty doesn't require proof. It doesn't evaporate when you get heart feedback or the silent room or the moment someone makes you feel like you don't belong. Porque something I've learned about certainty is after coaching Latinas for 10 years, we are incredibly skilled at building that confidence. We just have to be. We've had to prove ourselves our whole lives. ¿Sabes? O sea, desde el traducir parent-teacher conferences all the way to masking your Latinidad in the corporate rooms or in the boardrooms or in your leadership. And all of that has built our confidence. So of course, we are built to be confident. Pero what I see often is that we are usually starving for certainty. And the thing is that you cannot perform your way to certainty. You cannot fake it. It doesn't work like that. And the majority of my clients come with all the confidence, but the certainty there, it's like, ooh, it's almost like you have the floor that's shaky, but the walls are really solid. So your confidence is the walls. The certainty is the floor, you know? And that is the certainty gap. And where it comes from, especially for first, second gens, for immigrants, is that Calladita Culture starts asking you whether you are the right kind of person before you even open your mouth. The neither nor wound, meaning you're not American enough or Latina enough. You're not professional enough or traditional enough. You start editing yourself in two directions at once, softening for one world, hardening for another, and somewhere in all of that shape-shifting that you're doing, you lose the thread back to yourself. And what happens when you lead without certainty? Well, you lead from performance. You lead from proof. You lead from the survival archetype we talked about last episode. And this isn't about how capable or not you are, because we already know you're capable. This is simply because there's lack of trust, self-trust, that you, the whole version of you, the both and, is 100% wholeheartedly, unequivocally allowed to be in the room. So, of course, I'm hoping that at this point you've realized that we don't have a confidence problem. We have a certainty problem. And the season of spring is the exact right moment to address it. If we want to move with the world as Mama Earth is shaping into, then we want to pull from the energy of spring to get into our certainty. Hay conversaciones que nos enseñaron a callar, y dinero was one of them. Pero here's the truth. Tu dignidad financiera no debería depender de que traduzcas todo para tu mamá, tus tías, tu abuelita o quien sea. Savvy ladies just made it easier than ever to get financial help en español. Their free helpline means your mama can ask a question without you having to translate shame, confusion, or whatever her comadre told her. Talleres, clases, consejos, todo completamente gratis y con el respeto que nuestras familias merecen. Porque libertad financiera no es lujo, es necesidad. So whether it's you or your mama who's ready to take that first step, go to savvyladies.org. That is SAVVYLADIES.org. Empieza hoy. La dignidad financiera no se pide, se reclama. You know what's frustrating? Losing your wallet. And you know sometimes what's even more painful? Realizing your almost full punch card from your favorite cafecito spot is now gone. But at least, even when your cafecito points have vanished, at BMO, if you lose your debit card, they'll print you a new one instantly at a local branch. Plus, you can use your phone to freeze your debit card to prevent any unauthorized transactions. Learn more at bmo.com. Conditions apply. Accounts provided in the United States by BMO Bank and a member FDIC. So, let's start by reframing the both and identity as power. I don't know if anyone has ever told you that. Let's take a moment and talk about the piece that changes everything. And this, I will dare to say, this is the piece that most leadership development skips completely. And this is the neither nor story. This is the story that we've all heard. You're too much for one thing and not enough of the other. You're too emotional for the corporate room, too corporate for your community or for tu familia, no? Too American for the familia, too Latina for the boardroom. Too soft, too intense, too much, not enough. And I think of a client when I share this. I mean, I think of many, but one who specifically, she often is navigating this neither nor because very close to her family, corporate executive, leader, very, very, very close to her family. And it's we've talked about it, how when she walks through the house, the moment she crosses that door, is like she becomes the prima, no? Like the Latina, the family woman. And the moment she walks out of that house, whether it's cousin's house, grandparents' house, parents' house, the moment she walks out, then she becomes the corporate executive leader, successful, etc., etc. How many of us are saying, oh my gosh, yes? Well, that story is Calladita culture at its most sophisticated. Porque besides silencing your voice, what it does is it fractures your sense of self. It makes you feel like you have to choose which version of you gets to exist in each one of the rooms that you walk into. And so the invite here is for you to tune into that reality and reframe it. Ask yourself, what if you are not navigating a contradiction? What if it's actually your wholeness that most people have never seen modeled? And because you've not seen it modeled, then you feel like you need to only be on one road or on the other. Listen. Hablas dos idiomas, you speak two languages. And you know, this is not just English and Spanish. You know what I mean? You speak corporate, you speak familia, you speak grief, you speak ambition, you speak survival, and you speak vision. And this isn't a liability as we've been told to believe. This is a superpower so specific, so uncopyable, that no one who grew up in a single culture can replicate it. Let that sink in for a second. You have a superpower that no one can copy it unless they have lived through it. So let me tell you this, when I realized this on my own, I was like, oh, hell no, this is a superpower. And it started with this very podcast. in the beginning, it took me a while for me to be able to weave in Spanglish, even though in my outside of the microphone life, I was Spanglishing all of the time. I mean, that's just how I talk. And I would show up with my corporate voice behind the microphone. And it took me a while for me to realize that whoever listens to me, they listen to me because of who I am, because of what my lived experience brings to the table. And that comes with not really knowing an English word or a Spanish word and just using the other one because you'll get it just as much. And even if you don't, you can ask. El otro día I was talking to a friend and I said, what was the word that I said? Creo que dije cubiertos. And so I forgot the word cubiertos in English at that moment when we were having the conversation. And I was like, yeah, we're going to go get some cubiertos. And she was like, what is cubiertos? But she could say it just like me. She just didn't know what it meant. And I was like, oh, it's like cutlery, or like utensils, eating utensils. And she was like, no, ya entendí, cubiertos. And so that is a superpower. It took me a minute to see it because I had not seen the model of what it was to be in my wholeness, in my power, in my truth, in the reality that I am both and. And so what shifted in me is that I show up so unapologetically Latina that people can't even question it. Because I am so certain of who I am. My floor is so solid that even if people try to shake up my walls, the floor will sustain me. My certainty will hold me. The certainty that I have of who I am, you cannot question me because I know it so much. I've worked through it so much. And I just know who I am. Now, to clarify, when you are certain, it doesn't mean that you have it figured out. It means that you need to stop proving yourself. It means that you walk in the room as the full both and version of you. This isn't the edited version of you. This isn't the washed down version of you. This isn't the one that code switches or the safe version or anything else. This is the version that you trust is enough, is plenty. That's the version of you who is more than enough and understands that what you bring to the table, your lived experience as you show up in the rooms with your whole lived experience, is so powerful. People can notice it. People can smell it. People can see it and be like, oof, I want that, what she's having. No? So the question that I invite you to wonder is, where in your life are you treating your both and as a problem to manage when it might actually be the most powerful thing about you? And I can tell you in my case, my wholeness shows up in my coaching. At this point, 99% of my clients are Latinas. 99% of my clients can Spanglish to me in every way they want. 99% of my clients, when we do inner child work and we go into their subconscious, if their inner child speaks Spanish, I can talk to her in Espanol or in English or whatever language she wants. Sometimes we've brought in grandparents who absolutely didn't speak English, entonces yo puedo hablar con ellos en español y todo sale bien, And so this is when the wholeness comes in as a superpower. Let's own that, y'all. So think about it. Where are you diluting yourself? And what would it look like for you to show up as whole? What would it look like? When I said diluting yourself, I tend to dilute agua de Jamaica because sometimes it's like people make it too rich. So I tend to add water to my agua de Jamaica. But what if you show like so full, so whole, sin diluir, that people get uncomfortable, but you are so certain that it doesn't matter. And this is not about making people uncomfortable, man, to clarify. This is about you being so certain that it doesn't matter what other people are thinking. You are so certain that it doesn't matter what the world says because you show up and you are in your certainty and you walk in and you walk out and you still remain whole. So let's get practical. Porque certainty, it's like a practice. It's a body state. And your nervous system needs to experience what certainty feels like in the body before your brain can believe that to be true. Everything is connected. Anytime you want to grow into a new version of you, you want to start with the body. Fight me on this all you want. I know mindset coaches don't like me because I'm always like, it could work. Yes, change your mindset, change your reality, whatever. But it truly has to start with the certainty in your body. Your body has to feel it. What happens when you get scared? You can pretend that you're not, but your heart will be beating really fast. The body doesn't lie. The body has to experience that certainty before your brain starts to believe it. And you know this, I say this all the time, affirmations alone, they might get you there. It's going to take a few years. And somatic is a shortcut. So somatic practices help you in so many ways. Feeling better is one of them, but truly working with the body allow you to come home, come back to your certainty, come back to your wholeness. And when you are certain, and Calladita Culture tries to pull you back into the neither nor, then you have a physical reference point, physical evidence to return to in the event that you need to. We're always going to be tested. I'm always coming back to the body and be like, oh, how could I remind myself that I am whole, complete, and in my power without having to prove anyone? So I bring it back to the body. Practice number 1 that we're going to do is going to be the empty breath. So what we do is we empty our lungs completely. And I love exhaling as if you're blowing through a straw. So you kind of like pierce your lips a little bit, and you want to make a really tiny space to exhale, because what that does is it allows your exhale to take longer. So we're going to inhale for 4. In your mind, you say, I am. You hold it for 4. And in your mind, you say both and. And as you exhale through a straw, you say, in your mind, I am whole. 3 times. Inhale, I am. Hold both and. Exhale, whole. And you repeat that as many times as you need to. Yes, that is an affirmation. Yes, it's an affirmation attached to a somatic practice. Now, notice what we said there. We didn't breathe in confidence and breathe out strength. We simply asked you to witness the moment. We simply tuned into the body to let the body exist. And when your body can exist, then you can ground and start building that certainty, because it compounds. And so remember that your exhale has to be long and controlled and easy. The longer you exhale, the more active your parasympathetic system comes on, which means your best friend, the amygdala, then says, we are safe now. And so what we are telling the body with this exercise, very simple and easy exercise, is that certainty is safe and being whole is safe. Práctica número 2. So this is what I recommend you doing when you, in the mornings, or when you may have that neither nor feeling within you. Maybe you may feel split or fragmented. Maybe you just got an email that you were like not expecting. And this is where you want to first plant your feet on the floor and remind yourself this is your ground, because the earth is holding you. And this one is very simple. So it's, in a way, we are tapping a little bit, but not really. And so place one hand on your chest, and we place one hand on your belly. And this is a reminder to your body that you are holding two things at the same time, just like the rest of your life. We hold multiple realities in one truth, in one sitting. And that's what you do all the time. And so, what you can do is you can bring in, starting at the tip of your head, you can bring in awareness. You can lower your gaze, close your eyes, and start scanning your body for information to see where there might be some tension, where you may have some contraction. Maybe you may notice some parts of you may be held or maybe even be braced. And as you find a place of tension in the body, this is not a time to release it. So we're not going to try to release it. We're going to witness. And you just say, hi there. Thank you. That's it. You say hello and you say gracias. Because the tension is communicating something with you. So as I quickly did it as we were doing this, I felt this little tension on the back of my neck. And so you go through it and you say, hi there. Thank you. What happens is that the body, it released literally by me just witnessing. Sometimes the body just needs to feel seen, just like us. And so as you finish your scan, you go all the way to the tips of your toes and you say, hey there, thank you. You can take a breath and out loud or in silence, you can say, I am all of this and all of this is enough. And thank you, body, for holding me. Thank you, body, for sustaining me. Thank you, body, for being here with me. And what it does, this very simple practice, it literally takes a minute, is it teaches your body that it doesn't have to choose. Am I going to be bracing or am I going to relax? Sometimes two truths can exist at once. Sometimes three truths can exist at once. And the exercise is a reminder that we don't have to be constantly editing ourselves, because we can be tense and soft, because we can be ambitious and be grieving. We can be corporate professionals. We can be business owners and hold and love our culture all at once. And that is a both and. That's the certainty of wholeness. And what's important is that you remind your body that it's okay to exist in that dichotomy and that duality that only people like us truly can understand. The third practice, this is something that you could do at the end of your day or when you need a moment of calmness and quiet. I tend to do this after working out, actually, after I do exercise, because you want to be the most certain, no? So after all of my endorphins are released and I'm like, oh, I feel good. So you want to bring that evidence where you are the most version of you. And it could be whenever for you. It could be after you send a really powerful email and you were like, you know what? Nailed it. It could be a time when you are at the carne asada and you're like, I set a boundary and I feel good about it. It could be when you are creating something. Maybe you're drawing or you are doing ceramics or whatever it is. What you want to do is tune into that physical, certain emotion, because that is your yes. That shows your body, this is who I am. And notice where that joy, where that certainty lives. If there's a color, you can notice the color. And then what we do is we tap on the gamut point, which is the space between your ring finger and your pinky. Sometimes the gamut is very sensitive for some people, so you can simply just put your fingers there and just hold that space and integrate the emotion and remind your body, this is what it feels to be me. Unapologetically, the truest version of me. Evidence is here. And the color is blank. And this is certain. And I come back here when I need to. And you are anchoring. You're building a certainty anchor within yourself. So next time you are in a leadership moment, next time you're leading your team, or next time you may feel some shaky ground and you may feel a little fragmented, you can go back to the gamut point right here and bring back the emotion. Because if we really think about it, we can make ourselves feel fear. And if that is possible, then we can make ourselves feel certainty. But we need to have evidence because remember, we cannot perform certainty. So we need to have the anchoring moment so our body can bring that back. And there's nothing that to say. When you place your hand here and you just bring it back, you can just say, certainty, come back. And this is how somatic memory works. Your body stores experiences as a sensation. And by returning to that sensation of certainty over and over and over, you are teaching your nervous system to recognize it and eventually to choose it, even when you're under pressure. And that is what I call regulated authority, because it's all about coming back to it and remembering it. So we are closing Q1. We are leaning forward into the next season of spring, which is all about visibility, certainty as a foundation. And I want to close winter by telling you something I believe with everything I have. You are not someone who needs to be fixed. You can lead now. There's no need to become more confident or more polished. All you need to do is become certain, and you're allowed to take up space. Because certainty is the beginning. This is the starting point. And certainty is practiced, it's remembered, and it's in your body. And spring knows it because the seeds don't wait until they've earned the right to bloom, they just do. The seeds just feel the warmth and they're like, ooh, it's time to go, let's go. Next season the season of spring, we're going to focus on visibility and voice and what it means to be seen. And I'm going to have a lot of asks for you. I'm going to ask you to show up as a full both and version of yourself in rooms that weren't always built for you. And the only way to do that without losing yourself is to become certain. Winter gave us the foundation, the return, the certainty. Well, the certainty, we're building it. But the certainty has always been yours. We just need to come back to it. And as you become more certain, then we remember our wholeness. And the wholeness that Calladita Culture tried to convince you was a problem. Because you've always been whole. You always will be whole, and you lead from that wholeness. ¿Vale? Ok, terminamos la temporada de invierno. Terminamos la temporada de invierno. Y bueno, we talked about rest. We named your leadership archetype and what it looks like to activate it, to stop surviving it and start choosing it. And today we came back to certainty. So, antes de que te vayas, remember, certainty is not a destination. It's a practice of returning. You will lose it, and the heart meeting will shake it. The critical voice, the external or internal voice, will question it. The room that wasn't built for you will make you wonder for a second if you belong there. And then you'll breathe, you'll remember, you'll come back. And that is the work. That's what regulated authority actually looks like from the inside. Because the goal is never to not get shaken up, but to become someone who knows how to get back home. So, share this one if you feel called to. Share it to the woman in your life who's the most capable person in every room, as she enters every room and somehow is still the most uncertain about whether she belongs there. You know exactly who I'm talking about. I know some names popped in your head as I said that. Send her this episode. Send her all the episodes. Tell her this one's for you. Tag me at Café con Pan Podcast and tell me which practice are you taking into your week. The certainty breath, the both and, the anchor. I want to know. Please do send it to me. Thor and I read them all the time. And if the Calladita Culture leadership cohort has been on your mind, pues mira, puedes ir a cafeconpam.com/leadership, and this is the place where we go deepest together on your certainty, on your leadership archetypes, on your regulated authority in comunidad with first-gen Latinas, first, second, third immigrants who get it. because we're all living it. Esto lo estoy creando y va a ser algo súper especial, and I really cannot wait to open the doors. Y bueno, como siempre, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Un abrazo. I care about you so much. Thank you for choosing to grow with me and trusting me with your nervous system. I truly don't take it for granted. Como siempre, sigue brillando. Café con Pam is created con mucho amor by our small but mighty team. Content production by Nancy Jaimes. Podcast management by Maru Linardi. Social media and marketing by Brenda Figueroa. And me, your host, Pam Covarrubias. To keep the cafecito brewing and the healing flowing, join the Supporters Club for only $5 a month and access early episodes, behind the scenes vibes, and exclusive minisodes you won't hear anywhere else. Screenshot this episode and tag me and share what resonated. I love seeing your takeaways. Follow on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's keep the conversation going with us on social media at Café con Pan Podcast, because your voice always matters there. We love being on Instagram and Facebook. Gracias for listening to Café con Pan, a Spread Ideas Move People production. For more episodes, guest info, or resources, visit cafeconpam.com. And if you're healing from Calladita Culture and don't know where to start, you can take the quiz. cafeconpam.com/quiz for Tia Wisdom and cariño just for you.
Sabrosura pa' ti que